That's what I think.
To me,
For me, leadership means to be your authentic self, to sometimes take a risk, because we all make mistakes, and only if you be your true self, you can be a good leader. That's what I think.
to me, leadership is all about motivation and setting a path to reach goals together.
For me, leadership isn't something what comes with a certain position or certain hierarchy level. For me, it's an attitude, how you see your role in life.
Leadership for me is about inclusion. It's about putting yourself in other people's shoes. It's about understanding the other. It's about communication. Leadership for me is about humanity.
Leadership today is about inspiring people. It's about bringing people together. It's about collaboration. It's about inclusivity.
For me, leadership means lifting other people, helping other people, supporting other people, and empowering them to bring out the best talents they bring with them.
And for me, leadership is less about rank and seniority and more about being the leader that you feel you need and that people around you may need, so that you make sure that you take everyone on your team on the same journey.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, and a very warm welcome to our new Face of Leadership event in the occasion of the German Diversity Day. Good morning, Elena. Great you're here.
Thank you for having me here, and happy German Diversity Day.
Yeah, happy German Diversity Day. Today is a very special day, and it's now 12 years that we are celebrating this year in Germany and also celebrating the Diversity Month in Europe. I'm ready and really very excited to welcome you and all other experts we are going to have today, global leaders and exceptional humans who zeigen Flagge for diversity. That means they stand for diversity. And today is more than ever really crucial to take a stand for diversity, because this is about democracy, this is about tolerance, this is about freedom, this is about recognizing the beauty of every individual human. And this is about to realize the full potential we have as a community, as a collective, unlocking the power of diversity. Nowadays, diversity has taken a central place on the agenda of politics and businesses alike. And it is very crucial to take the time to reflect, to learn from each other, and to share best practices, insights that inspire, enable, and empower you to come into action and to bring the best of yourself every day in everything you're doing. So the German Diversity Day provides us with the opportunity to make a clear statement against hate and for diversity. And this is what we aim with this event. We aim to empower you to embrace and advocate for diversity, equity, inclusion in your strategies and in your daily practices. And I believe that addressing these crucial topics is key to shaping a future where leadership reflects the true diversity in our society. So your participation today will not only broaden your perspective, but also equip you with the best insights to lead change in a very effective way. So I feel very honored to welcome you, Elena, and all the other experts, and to celebrate this fantastic day today. And having said that, I would like to introduce yourself, and I'll give you the voice to say hello, good morning. From Munich to, I don't know where you are today, Elena.
I'm in Belgium today, so I'm at the HQ of Seheka, of the company that I work as a marketing CTO and head of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So good morning, everyone. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Begonia, for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this event and for you to meet all these amazing panelists and amazing guests that we will have today. But I want to, before starting, I want to leave you with one of my favorite, let's say, quotes, which is related to diversity. Because I truly believe that diversity is very linked to innovation, and it's the driving force of innovation. And it says like this: diversity is like a mosaic. Every piece is unique, but when you put them all together, they form a masterpiece. So I hope you enjoyed it, and it gets you thinking a bit, and maybe inspire you to apply more, let's say, diversity topics into your teams. Thank you.
love that. Thank you, Elena. I love this wonderful idea to really all together make a masterpiece, bringing the best of each of us. This is what we aim to do today. And also from my part, I would like to introduce myself. I am Begonia Merayo, the founder and the chairwoman of NFoL. I am based in Munich. I am a global citizen, and diversity is not only like water for the fishes, taking a look into my own profile, but it's also my mission. Since 2011, I am working with the mission to create the future of work, unlocking the power of diversity for organizations, for teams, and for individuals. So therefore, I'm supporting companies to recruit and to retain female talents up to their board levels, and to create and design an organizational culture and an organizational structure and systems that really support the growth of every single employee in order, like you mentioned already, Elena, in order to really bring innovation ahead and to foster growth and to be competitive in the nowadays market. Having this experience, we decided to bring all these insights into the community, and we unite with NFoL women and men, working together to close the gender gap in the technology world by lifting female careers with the power of the community. So this is everything, and maybe just for you to get an impression what we are going to do today up to 10 a.m. Is a brief and very concise and impactful agenda, because everything we are going to do today is around the topic how diversity unites us. This is the central topic that we are going to close up with a keynote from Sandy Carter, with a panel discussion which Elena is going to drive, and with another keynote from Cristina, Alonso, Alija, finalizing at 10 a.m. with the other colleague from NFoL, who is going to be Katarina Andreeva. So let me just introduce why we are doing that and who we are. Because this initiative, this movement, the new phase of leadership, is a movement coming from the NFoL and the ecosystem NFoL. And who we are. We are a powerful and engaged and relevant network. And like I mentioned before, our USP is from the very beginning, we unite women and men from the technology world to work together on the closing the gap, the gender gap in the technology world, bringing our best expertise and competencies. And why we do that? I think those figures are all very well known. And otherwise, I think this is very relevant to be aware what is the potential we have to create a better future if we bring all the talents together. And this is the figures coming from the study of McKinsey by 2023 about the technology world in Europe and the participation of 22% of women nowadays, and even showing the opportunity we have to increase our GDP from 260 billion to 600 billion in Europe only, if we just double the percentage of women who participate and have an impact in this world. So We know that accelerating gender diversity is not only the right thing to do, it's also a necessity for us to really embrace the challenges of our future and be able to design our future together. So for that, we decided to be working with Net4Tech and to support this diversity in the technology world, basing and focusing in 3 areas. The first one is the knowledge transfer. So we offer trainings, events, and coachings, mentorings, in order to bring all the knowledge in the community to the community and support the growth of the members. Personal growth is also a very important point, because everything we do from inside. And this is very important as well, that we empower and we feel the potential and we realize them, also focusing in our own personal growth. And the third one is the strategic networking, because there is not only about creating a safe space for us to grow, to provide the knowledge, but it's also connecting you with the relevant people who is going to support you on your way, who is going to empower you and enable you to go there where you want to go. So this is just briefly some of our pictures of the different formats we offer. Over the year, we have a very well curated program with excellent global experts covering the different aspects of knowledge transfer, personal growth, and strategic networking, with workshop trainings, coachings, and also with different events we do locally, even if we are a very global community of over 1,500 women and men with very different backgrounds and different origins and different perspectives and ideas. We bring them together in the different events we do in the DACH region, and also globally in the Web Summit, for example, where we are partners, but also in different countries where we unite specifically C-suite executives in order to find the power on how to support all the young talents and the middle management. With all this experience, we created a new phase of leadership. And this is the conclusion of the last years working with the community and with the companies. And at the end of the day, we only are able to create change if we work in the culture and if we work in our own leadership style. Because how we want to create change, this is everything about how you lead yourself, how you lead your teams, how you lead your organization. And therefore, we started asking about what does it mean leadership, especially following the pandemic time, with everything was readjusting, was very central for us to understand how we can create this culture, how we can empower yourself. And then it's a movement. It's not only just a campaign starting with different video statements of those global leaders around the world. It's also coming together in this kind of streaming, this kind of digital formats where we can embrace and be very inclusive, bringing you from all around the world and providing you the space to share your knowledge, empower each other. And so we had the different stages, and now we are also having a fantastic cooperation with the International Business School of Management in Munich, where we are tackling this issue as well from a scientific perspective with a study. So we are very pleased, and this is a day of celebrating diversity in Germany. We celebrate that we are finalists for the best diversity campaign in Germany, driven by the impact of diversity. And we are going to see that beginning of July where we are going to be. So having said that, we are going to start with the first keynote and the first lot of the program. So you are all with us. Please bring your questions. We are going to follow the chat. And we are going to be able to bring your questions as well in the discussion with other experts or to exchange that in the chat. So go ahead with your questions. And let's introduce Sandy Carter very briefly to you. Sandy is based in San Francisco, and therefore is going to be today with us in a very special way because she recorded her input for today. And we are going to have the opportunity to listen to her keynote of this fantastic woman. And a very unique profile because Sandy is I would say an expert with a profile which is very unique. She has held very different C-level positions in sales, in channel, in product officers, in marketing, in operations, in the biggest Fortune 100 companies nowadays having an impact in technology like IBM and AWS. So her background is very unique, and she's bringing now her knowledge as like a pioneer in AI innovation and Web3. So having said that, I would say, Elena, we go out of the stage and we invite now Sandy to come with us. So enjoy her speech.
I am so incredibly excited to be here today. Thank you, Net4Tech, for having me to talk about this really important topic. I am the Chief Operating Officer of a company called Unstoppable and the founder of a group called Unstoppable Women of Web3. And what a great honor and pleasure to talk to you today about how diversity unites us. I have to tell you, when the team invited me to come and speak on this particular topic, I was just incredibly excited for lots of different reasons. First of all, let me just show you how I got into my career. My career has led me to being a top leader in technology throughout the world. And how did it start? Well, it really started with me wanting to be an astronaut. But I didn't have that dream by myself. I was united with a group of people who wanted to help me become an astronaut. My dad was my biggest encourager. I went to a space camp. I had teachers encouraging me. They all thought it would be great to have more inclusivity in the space program to be an astronaut. And then, of course, as I started getting a little older, I started thinking I really wanted to have an impact in medicine instead. So I switched over to wanting to become a doctor and went to Duke University precisely to pursue that. When it turns out, bad luck, I'm allergic to a lot of different smells and smells in a hospital. And so I pass out. Not a great thing for a doctor. But again, the community united around me to help me find something interesting. My counselor, he was a great guy who was counseling not just for a professor, not just in the medical school, but also in the computer science school, and introduced me to a whole other world. And when I decided to take that jump into technology, I was then surrounded by people who really wanted to see me successful because they felt like that diversity of thought was going to be so powerful. So I kind of ended up in tech by accident, but accident through diversity uniting people to help and support me personally. I know the topic today is bigger. It's about companies and about governments, but I think everything starts with individuals wanting to have an impact and make a change. I also showed you this picture here. I told you I'm currently at Unstoppable before Unstoppable. And by the way, we are now a unicorn startup, which I'm really excited about. But before Unstoppable, I was with a company called Amazon Web Services. Of course, you probably know them. And one of the really cool things is, even though I didn't get to be an astronaut, I used technology with a couple of our business partners to help get rover to Mars. And here you see my lovely 2 daughters and my husband that were part of that journey as well. So what I wanted to do is I really wanted to share what I think are some hacks in this particular area of diversity, really forming and driving that uniting force. And the 3 things I wanted to talk about is acting like an open API. That's a tech term. Open API means that you're sharing information or data. 2, asking a gazillion questions. And 3, understanding that diversity of thought always wins. So let's walk through these 3. So my first hack is really that In order for diversity to unite us, we all need to act like an open API. Now, you might not be in a technology, but if you were, an open API is a piece of technology that enables companies to share what they're best at, to share their expertise. And companies do this for lots of different reasons. They do it to drive revenue. They use it to increase their engagement. They even use it to increase their innovation. Why? Because they're getting more ideas coming in from different places when different companies use their API. It's that diversity of thought that's coming together to innovate even faster. I've always found that as a leader, if you can share your information, you're always going to go further. A great story that I love to share is I was flying to India to do a presentation, and I had flown 24 hours to get to India. When I was checking into my hotel at 11 p.m. at night with mascara dripping down my face, a manager of the hotel said, "You've got a whole group of people waiting over here for you." I'm like, who's waiting for me at 11 p.m. at night? Well, it turned out it was the social media club of Mumbai in India. They had heard I was coming because I tweeted that I was going to India. They found out from a friend's cousin's niece, nephew that I was going to be at that hotel. They figured out when I was coming in, and they all showed up at 11 p.m. at night. Now, remember, I had been flying for 24 hours. When I walked in the room, there was dancing, there was Bollywood music. They were just sitting there having a good time waiting for me. I'll never forget it when Anu walked up to me, Sandy, welcome to India. And all I wanted to do was to go to sleep. I was so tired. But here again, diversity of thought. These people had all come together, over 200, to hear me talk about my career, what I had done, how I had used social media. And so what did I do? I wanted to use diversity to unite us. We are different, but I wanted to use diversity to unite us. And I acted like an open API and shared until about 2 a.m. in the morning my ideas. And I think this is going to be really common. I recently wrote a book called The Tiger and the Rabbit. I interviewed 400 companies, and I found that those companies who have diverse cross-functional teams that are agile are the most successful, breaking down silos, breaking down cultural barriers, to really ensure that diversity was at the heart to win. In my book, The Tiger and the Rabbit, I love that Pepsi, one of the leaders there, read the book, discovered the ideas about the tiger teams and the rabbit teams, these rabbit teams being very diverse so they can move really rapidly, and had renamed her team. So our hack number 1 is to act like an open API. That encourages that united feeling and encourages diversity to win and that innovation of thought. The second area that I think is really important in being united through diversity is really around asking a gazillion questions. And I know this sounds really strange, but studies have shown that companies with diverse people and teams are more likely to introduce more products to the market. And this is because that diverse teams can better understand and meet the needs of a global customer base. That research came from MIT. Now, how do these diverse teams really innovate? Well, they ask a lot of questions, because when you're in a diverse situation, you're going to have questions that maybe others don't. In fact, if you had a team that all looked and sounded like you'd only get the same questions. I have a great example here too. There was a very diverse team at AWS, and we were posed with the question of, how do we get more people trained on artificial intelligence? Now, simple answer to that would be, hey, have more classes, right? Talk to more universities, get more people trained. But we actually had a diverse team. And so we started asking a gazillion questions. Well, will we have enough people if every university trained? No, AI is going to be prolific. So what do we need? We need all kinds of people understanding artificial intelligence, not just a few, not just those in technical schools. And so because we kept asking questions, we came up with this really fun idea to train people. You see it here with a race car. It's got IoT sensors surrounding it. you actually use reinforcement learning of AI to get the car to race around the track. And so as a result of having something so fun and something so simple, we created a new way to get more people trained on AI. We would have competitions throughout the world in companies. In Asia, in fact, we had a group of people that were chefs that were coming together to try this out. In Europe, we had the management team challenging the engineers to races with this deep racer. This diversity of thought coming together, asking a bunch of questions in different ways, created something that was so much more innovative. And then my final example is just always know that diversity of thought yields better results, always. In fact, from Catalyst, they found that companies that are more diverse with more women and more directors on boards who are women. I'm actually on the board of directors for a company called Altair. They focus on AI and simulation. They deliver a higher return on equity and a higher return for shareholders. However, even with those results, we see that today women founders or entrepreneurs are 15% more likely, are more profitable, but are 40% less likely to get funded. And we're also seeing a decline in the number of female founders. So this is strange to me. Diversity has better innovation, better business results, better sharing of information, and it unites us all together. So to me, it's really fascinating how we could use this to solve some of the world's biggest problems. And one of the ones recently, I've been in artificial intelligence for quite a while and now in blockchain as well. And, one of the things that we're finding is that using AI to solve some of the world's biggest problems, like helping with different diseases, are blocked because of lack of diversity in data. This is one example with women's healthcare, looking at, even in the US, it wasn't required to have medical data for women, only men. And therefore, there's a 17% gap in data about women in healthcare. Therefore, when we come up with some of these really cool AI programs that could predict liver disease, 77% positive with men only, but 44% of cases are missed in women. We have such an opportunity to have such a big impact, especially with all these new technologies coming in, like artificial intelligence, like blockchain, to be inclusive and have a major impact on the world overall, not just in companies, but with governments, with healthcare. And the path is really endless. So I just wanted to leave you with these 3 hacks that I think are really important. Acting like an OPI is so much easier when you have diverse teams. The sharing flows much more easily. Asking a gazillion questions gets you to better innovation that only occurs when you have diversity. Otherwise, you're going to ask the same questions. And diversity of thought always wins with the business. You always get better results. I quoted Catalyst and I quoted MIT, but did you know that Deloitte, IDC, there's so many groups that have produced all these reports on the power of diversity. So now is the time to take a stand and to be united in that message for diversity, because it makes an impact. Not only is it the right thing to do, but it is a business decision that yields positive return on investment. Thank you again for having me today. If you want to reach out to me, I'm available on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or many different ways. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the focus on this incredibly important topic. Thank you.
Wonderful. This was Sandy Carter's introduction and keynote on how diversity unites us. And I think it's very inspiring. And all those topics are really very relevant for us today, to be more precise and to be more into the details. Going now ahead with our panel discussion, driven by Elena, and with fantastic global heroes and global citizens and humans sharing their expertise. So Elena, I will give you the voice and let you introduce the panel and every single one of our experts today.
Thank you, Begonia. I would say that maybe we can bring everyone on stage so they can have a short introduction about themselves.
Yes.
Would that be great? Perfect.
So here we are. Good morning, Soraya. Good morning, Sandro. Hi, cousin.
Hello.
Hello, hello. So we tried to bring Caroline as well on the stage. She's facing some technical difficulties, which is normal in a life. And here is Alexander.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so now let's start this engaging panel because I promise you it would be amazing. Again, I'm Elena Enake, and it's my pleasure to moderate today's discussion, which mainly is about diversity, inclusion, and innovation. So I'm going to let the panelists present themselves, and I can tell you that I'm very happy to actually personally know a few of them, and I'm very happy that they are here. They are super inspiring, but I won't spoil everything by me introducing them, so I'll let them introduce. So let's start with Soraya because she's the first one on my.
Thank you. Thank you, Net for Tech. Thank you, Elena. Thank you for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure. So my name is Soraya Turk, and I'm actually the managing partner of Legal Circle, which is a boutique law firm that specializes in working with startups, in particular technology startups, and we help them to scale and grow. But aside from that, I'm also an angel investor and a board advisor of the 2022 Female Angel, which essentially promotes and encourages more women to invest in other women, particularly founders, of technology businesses, female founders of technology businesses. So I wear multiple hats. I'm based in Dubai, but I do get to work with a lot of global clients, which always makes it really fun. And I do lots of public speaking as well around the topics of women in leadership, women in tech, investment, private equity, venture capital. And so, yeah, I've got lots of different passions, but they all really come together. And I guess this is exactly what we talk about when we're talking about diversity of thought and bringing, different expertise with different, men and women and bringing their ideas to really, improve, empower, and change up the discussions a little bit to see how we can do things differently. So it's a little bit about me. I won't take the floor over, and I hand it back to you, Elena.
Yeah, thank you so much. What I wanted to mention is that we're really walking the talk. So basically here with are like such a diverse group of people coming from Middle East to Switzerland, UK, Austria, Romania, now Belgium, and we're very diverse. We have different backgrounds, and I think that's the best way to look at this topic of diversity from multiple perspectives. We're very sorry that Caroline cannot join us because she has a tech problem, but let's go further on with Gaston. Yes.
Hey everyone, this is Gaston. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Acredius, which is a fintech marketplace, and also recently in Civio, which is an AI-powered education platform for businesses. I'm based in Zurich. I have a background in AI, and I'm also an actuary. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years, mainly in the fintech and recently in the edtech space. So you can imagine also in terms of diversity, as we all some sort of global citizens. From that perspective, I'll tell you later on a bit more about it. But yeah, looking forward to a great panel with you all today.
Thank you, Gaston, very much. Sandro?
Thank you very much for having me, Elena. And happy German Diversity Day, also from Zurich. My name is Sandro, and my background is 20 years in traditional finance and actually across various different roles with large universal banks, but also some smaller niche players. And diversity has always been a key topic. And we looked at as an example when I was working for the UBS Investment Bank and how can we bring people from different industries, completely different industries, into the investment banking side to see what type of structured products you want to offer your client? What are the needs? What is the demand? And we start to try to mix up certain things. So there was kind of 20 years ago by now, wow. Quite a long story, but along the line, after 20 years of TradFi, I actually explored more and more the blockchain space. So looked into actually blockchain, where I'm now. So in 21 December, I decided to move industries back to technology, and I'm now with the Cardano Foundation, Global Business Development Lead. And Cardano is a so-called public permissionless blockchain, a layer 1 solution, and inclusion is actually at the bottom of our heart. So providing access to anyone around the globe. And along my journey, actually, it was always a key element of how can we utilize technology to provide a better life to all of us, no matter what your heritage. So I'm super excited to be here and to actually, discuss with you about how we can change the future and where we are today.
Thank you so much, Sandro. Let's go further with Alexander.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm Vice President IT and Security at FACC AG. This is a globally active company in the civil aviation industry with headquarters in Austria. Furthermore, I'm also a Women in ICT ambassador, member of the Global Advisory Council of the G100 wing for Sustainable Development Goals and more. And yeah, I'm driven by fostering diversity in any dimension, aiming for reaching success for people and the companies driving those initiatives. Yeah, more on that later in the panel. I would say happy to be here, happy to be part of this really colorful and diverse group of people. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Alexander. And thank you, everyone. So now let's start the panel discussion. I'm going to moderate it, but I know it's going to be very entertaining because I know the guests. Let's start. And I would start with, as a leader, you must be preoccupied with diversity initiatives. And I know that I'm as well, and I'm looking towards other companies and towards my friend leaders. What are they doing? I'm very curious about the initiatives that they are doing within their companies. And I would go further with this question because I'm curious in Zurich, in your company, Gasson, what are you doing? For example, can you share a successful diversity initiative that you implemented within your company, and particularly any innovative approaches that involve technologies or new strategies?
Yeah, happy to share that. I mean, although the panel and discussion about diversity sounds like it's something that we are not used to it, at least from my perspective, it's kind of a second nature, right? So exactly. I grew up in Tunisia. I live in Switzerland for the last 12 years, traveled quite a lot. So for me, it's really, although I understand from, let's say, from a big corporate world, it's something still not really there. But I can have a testament in terms of in the world of startup and innovation. I mean, diversity is there. Maybe not at the level we wanted, but it's really, as I said, it's as a second nature. I can give you a couple of examples. I mean, I founded around 5 companies so far. The last 3 ones I had a female co-founder, and that didn't come just because they are female. Just like it's nature, it's competence. It's because it makes sense, and it's because this is what I encountered myself in my life, that this adds tremendous value. At Acridius, we reached a total of 15 nationalities from 4 continents. And we're speaking about a company that is 6-7 years old, right? We have a stand-up meeting every Monday that my team, most of them like, some of them maybe like too much. And at the end of that meeting, everyone, like, as we are basically between Switzerland, Tunisia, Brazil, Portugal, and we have also team members that travel a lot, and you would be really surprised that sometimes, and you can imagine agendas like melding in, and then you have I don't know, the Day of the King in Portugal, and then you have the day of I don't know what somewhere else, and you will be surprised to see how everything melts together. Sometimes it's exactly the same occasion or event, but with a different name elsewhere. You see what I mean? So it's very interesting to see also, although we call it diversity, it's actually, in my own experience, it comes back to very similar aspects of it, right? I don't want to go into many details, but look at many, let's say, global events. They have sometimes different names, but all in all, it's the same thing in different regions, right? And finally, I have my data science lead, Asma, who is a brilliant woman, and again, doing really great job. So women in technology, I truly believe this is not, it should not be an exception whatsoever. I think it should be, again, a second nature. It should be competence level of discussion, and she's been doing a great job since the beginning. She has 2 kids, and she's been adding value to the company since the beginning.
Wow, thank you so much. Exactly. I felt it when you said it. Like, it should be, diversity should be a second nature, and sometimes we talk so much about it, but actually it's something that we should, like I said, like democratize. Like it should be like basic hygiene for everyone, especially if you want to move forward. But I'm going to pass it now to Alexander, because I know that he has actually, how I met Alexander, he was a panelist at the conference that I attended, and I liked very much his points of view, and I know he has some inspiring stories about this. So Alexander, can you share with us?
Yes, of course, I'm happy to. Maybe let's start with this one. In Austria, I would say we like to hide behind challenges. For example, we like to hide behind challenges like the shortage of skilled labor. And one approach to overcoming that in our companies, we are aiming for, we call it will before skill. So we're trying to stop this war for talents. We are looking for willing people, and we try to care with them together to develop the needed skills then. So what I try to do, for example, is, and I not only try to do it, I really do it, I walk the talk, is I try to encourage career change into IT, no matter where you come from, what skills are coming with you. If you are willing to enter our kind of industry, then let's develop skills together. So really, this will before skill. Why should we do that? Yeah, from my point of view, it's really a win-win situation, because when we are addressing people not coming from the tech industry, but from anywhere else in business, we reach a better understanding of other business departments in our IT and tech teams. And this is definitely a win for us. On the other hand side, when we're speaking about willing people coming into our industry, at least in Austria, and I think it's the same, and at least in the whole DACH region, we have to speak about bringing more women in IT, because in Austria we only have around 18% of women in IT. When we take a look in security, for example, it's only 4 to 5%, and there we really give women perspectives in a mostly, I would say, well-paid or at least better paid job than they are currently having. So we indirectly, so to say, also care for the gender pay gap when we are aiming to bring more people in our industry. And this is something we are really trying to bring forward. And as I said before, these are not only good intentions. When I take a look at my team, for example, currently we do have nearly 50% of those career changes. So I would miss half of my people if I only would look for experts and fight this war for talent. So it really comes with many benefits: more business proximity, more people, and more will, and with time also the skill. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. That reminds me of something that I used to tell my team when we were recruiting, of course, software developers, and they were, we were all complaining about shortage of workforce, I was always saying like attitude beats aptitude. And I'm very happy to see that a lot of companies guide themselves or like try to find people who are willing to learn more than already having the skills, because right now as technology evolves, like having hard skills, I don't know, there are like, I don't know what's the lifespan of a hard skill. I think like kind of 2 years now, if you don't. But talking about this, I want to ask Soraya, due to her like extreme prolonged experience in this, and also because of your legal background, Soraya, what are the biggest challenges you face when you try to foster a more inclusive work environment? And for example, how do you address issues like where we talked before, like DEI fatigue? And for sure, like one of my favorite topics, which is unconscious bias.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me jump in at this point, because I've heard what the others have to say and I absolutely agree with them. And Alexander, I love your point about will before skill. But what I see is that the reality can often be a little bit different. And the reason why is that we're living in a very fast-paced world. I mean, even when we just look at AI and we look at the way that that's unfolding and the rate at which that's developing, it's at such a high speed that leadership often, even though they might have the intention of will before skill, the reality is to move as quickly as what they need to in particular technology or a space or whatever they're revolutionizing, they need to be quick. And so being quick often means that you need to have the right people who are skilled and have the experience that you need, who can be onboarded and move the company to where it needs to go. So I see this all the time with startups, particularly the ones that are in AI and technology. They have to move. They have to keep developing. I mean, investors who are investing in them are looking for growth, and they're often looking for rapid growth. And so one of the biggest challenges is, whilst there is this desire to be more inclusive and more diverse, because we know in the long term, it's much better for businesses. It's absolutely much more profitable. However, the question is, how do we bridge the gap between a long-term goal that is, idealistic, that is a brilliant thing to be working towards, however, also looking at what the company needs now, today, to get ahead of the race. And this is the constant challenge that I see, So that's the first thing. Second thing is, yes, absolutely, there's unconscious bias. I mean, even though there are people that, similar to Alexander or similar to Gassan, who think this should be second nature, who think that this is something and can appreciate that this is something that's going to be advantageous for companies. The reality is, who are leading these organizations, and not everybody reflects and mirrors Alexander and Gassan's approach to business, an approach to diversity in organizations. A lot of the time, the whole point of unconscious bias is the fact that it is unconscious. And unless we increase awareness, then we are never going to actually be addressing the unconscious bias. And so I think what companies need to do is hold themselves accountable and be a lot more transparent, that when they say that they're going to be addressing these challenges, what are they actually going to be doing about it? Go public and say, we have, for example, set as our agenda for this year to recruit more people and diverse people, whether that's, obviously starting with women, but also men with diverse backgrounds. And then how many are we going to, for example, upskill in our organization, who already exists, that maybe has the will, that not the skill, that we're going to be prepared to train. And so I think when, organizations can set that agenda and then make it public and allow then for people within the organization or the policymakers, whoever, is working for compliance within that organization, to say, well, okay, how much of what we set out have we actually achieved? So I think whilst our outlook and our goals are all very much the same, it really takes a commitment to achieve these goals. and it's constant, and there needs to be accountability, there needs to be responsibility, there needs to be, a key awareness of the challenges, whether it's unconscious bias or whether it's, resistance to change, or whether it's looking at this, idea of will for skill, but what do we do now, our short term versus our long term, and then putting in the right strategies in order to make sure that we really are walking the talk. But I want to take over again because I have a tendency to start and never stop. But that's just my ideas on some of the challenges, and really holding ourselves accountable as organizations and people within those organizations, as I said, to stay committed to the course.
Thank you, Soraya. I was thinking exactly about this when you say short term versus long term. It's also like how you also conduct the business as usual on one side, and on the other side how you do change management, because you need to keep both trains running.
Absolutely. And it's not easy. It's not easy because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with change. It takes time. But we know the reality in technology companies is it's a race. And that constant balance is not an easy one. I see this every day, with the startups that we mentor, with the startups that we advise, and it's not as easy. However, it's not impossible, and I think that's what we need to keep reminding ourselves as well.
Thank you so much. And I would ask Sandro to jump in a bit and related to the subject, to tell us a bit how leadership, what's the role that leadership plays in all this and in promoting diversity, and how do you cultivate those leadership qualities that support such a culture?
Yeah, thank you so much again. And yes, I can also comment to what Gaston, Soraya, and Alexander said. It's exactly actually the issues we face across different industries, and also what I see now in the tech industry. So when you speak about career change, how can you actually engage and encourage people to do an industry change, to change career and come into the tech side, which is from the outside always super complicated, but nevertheless, if you have the right sources, you find a way in. I had the great pleasure. So one of the first thing after starting with the Cardano Foundation, I was partnering up with Women in Tech back in 2022 to actually also learn, because at the end I can make a lot of assumption based on my experiences. But we need to go on the ground, let's go and speak to the people, and engage with Women in Tech opened my eye on various different areas, because you have culturally different participants. They are spread around the globe. So it's really encouraging and inspiring to be there. I don't want to speak too much about that. But anyhow, so what I want to say is actually we looked into how can we leverage the knowledge base from the real experts. So they have a mentoring program, but also when we start to hire, speaking about career change, the tone in an application or in a job description is crucial. And usually when we looked for an engineer, it was very much actually directed to men. That's then the unconscious as well, right? So we were not really aware about it, but we actually were speaking with Women in Tech, with the experts. We got our job description reviewed, and voila, after actually they rephrased our job descriptions, we saw that we have much more applications from women. So on the one hand side, it's really taking experts into your engine room, helping you to change processes, to change the way you appear, you're being perceived in the market. And then further along the road, also utilizing the networking effect. As of today, networking effect is we know each other. And actually, traditionally, you have the great network, or the management network consists of mainly men. And now here you can start actually to engage, getting into a network with strong women or any type of people who wants to engage. It doesn't matter what type of gender it is, and acting or actually having access to a talent pool. So what we did is actually accessing their talent pool and create together educational material to also teach anyone who wants to join the tech space to leverage this network there. Then you also, what I've heard is actually the problem with the speed and the fast pace we have, and this is definitely something we have in this industry very dramatically. I'm super privileged in many ways, but one of them is that I work for the Cardano Foundation, which is a non-for-profit organization. So we don't have an investor who expects a return of investment. So we can take the time, which is super luxury. But on the other hand, obviously, you see that actually the community, the ecosystem, they're always asking you to be faster. But I agree with Soraya, if you want to have success, you need to build steady and you actually have strategy you stay true to, and you cannot change the strategy every 6 months. This will destroy you. So we have on actually the resources, then we have a so-called people and culture lead who helps us to educate our staff. So our stuff is spread around the globe, really mainly of them remote, but we have also a lot working in the offices, but most of them are remote working. And so you need to have someone who manages the people and the culture to enable a fair treatment and a good collaboration. And this is where you need to have the support from the leadership. The leadership can be anyone, right? Anyone can be a leader. So that's where I think we all are role models. We all are leaders, no matter what position you have in your organization. It's actually the way you respect your coworkers, your partners, and stakeholders, and how you treat them. But then you have also the leadership, which is maybe the executive. So you have the people the decision-making power have within the company. And those people need actually to give you the support. They need to give you the resources, being it human capital, but also to a certain extent the financial support to go cross-border, to actually invest money in areas where you don't have money today, to hire the right talents, rather than just go to the neighbor and live in your little bubble. And maybe on the technology side, what is important is that we learn that the unconscious biases we have heard before, it's something we all have in us, but it comes with technology. When we speak about AI, also something I've learned lately about actually the impact of AI when we speak about facial recognition, that actually darker skinned tones are more difficult to read for some AI. So when you have a recruiting, which does primarily does kind of a facial recognition, they could misinterpret your impressions, and this actually has a negative quotation, which is unfair. So we really have to be careful by using technology, because at the end of the day, it's us who provide the code and the content. So we have to be aware about it, and we have to translate it into technology.
Thank you, Sandro. I have a special question for all of you later about the influence of AI and technology on diversity. But first of all, I think that I want to address a question that we got from the public. So it's a free one, so whoever wants to jump on it. Also would be interesting to know how the policies in your organization are women at work favorable, as you all foster great numbers when it comes to women in your organization. It would be useful to know what you're doing differently when it comes to policies and frameworks for favoring women. And I would not necessarily only ask this. I would add to this question a bit more also about neurodiverse people or like minorities, and how do you foster as well the let's say globalization and working together in multiple countries. I know a few of you asked, but a few of you answered, but let's see who wants to jump on this question.
I'm happy to, if you like. I mean, I can just start by looking at what we do in Dubai, and particularly in law. So I'm in law in the private equity and venture capital space, and that has typically been a very dominated ecosystem. I mean, even with startups and technology, we see that there's a lot more males pursuing startups and founding companies than there are females. We also see huge disparity in the number of, say, women that are funded compared to men. And I think that's not just here in the UAE, but globally. I mean, even, when I was in Women in Tech Summit, Elena and I talked about some of the stats, right? Even in Europe, there's only 2%. I mean, so what do I do personally in my organization? Personally, what I do is I try to upskill the women. So typically women don't put themselves forward for opportunities that they can do, but because they have their own biases and perception of their skill level, what they can and cannot do. So for example, somebody who's a very competent lawyer that's maybe been in a different area of law, maybe perhaps merger and acquisition or corporate commercial, might not go into venture capital and private equity just because it's not something that they've always done. But as a lawyer, you have transferable skills. So I look at how does those transferable skills in that individual help and support what we're looking at now or looking for now in terms of a person with the right will. And then what do we do to upskill to bridge that gap in knowledge? Because, you know, as I think it was Sandra that said, everyone can be a leader. And the reason why everybody can be a leader is because everybody can be taught the skills of leadership. You can't really be given will or aptitude or attitude, though. And so that's where I agree with Alexander that when you're looking, and what I do in my organization is I'm looking a little bit at skill, but more so what's the attitude and the aptitude to learn, and how can I, in the quickest possible time, upskill them? Secondly, the barrier to women even entering into that startup world, or, you know, whether it's pursuing the career or founding organizations, is usually that they are mothers, is usually that they have a lot of responsibility that weighs heavily on them. So what they need from a role might be a little bit different from what their male counterpart will need, in a sense that they need flexibility. They need to perhaps work remotely sometimes. They need, you know, when we're talking about agile environments, they need to be able to be comfortable enough to come and be open and say, these are the limitations I have. How can I work with you, but perhaps within the parameters that I can define? And so I have a lot of women that work with me that work part-time. So every perhaps one male that I've hired, I hire two because they're working more flexibly. So I have, you know, one working 3 days, one working 2 days, and allowing them to always communicate what their boundaries are. So for example, the women, most of the time, I mean, they're the ones that, you know, if they have children, for example, at 2 years of age or 3 years of age, and they have a lot more interaction. I'm not to say that the dads don't, you know, aren't involved in it, but often women, I guess, wear that responsibility, particularly in the early days, a lot more. And so, you know, they might say to me, look, I can start earlier today. I'll just need to finish earlier today. Is that okay with you? And that's absolutely fine.
So maybe I can step in here for technical reasons. Adding on that, well, coming to the question, I mean, the question was about, are there different policies in regards to different gender and so. So I'm coming from a more traditional industry. It's not about tech industry, software tech industry. So no, there are no special policies. But what we do is, as we heard before, it's really important what our employees need in their phase of life they're in. So for us, a big thing is, how can you as our employee integrate work and life? So we are speaking about life phase oriented working models, we call it. And when I speak about that, for example, we do have 3,700 employees currently, and for those 3,700 employees, we offer more than 300 working time models. So it's really about enabling compatibility, about really making work and life functioning together, so to say. And this is important for men and women, for everybody who would like to do an education or is running a business or is responsible for any kind of care work or whatsoever. So this is one of our central things. The only thing where we really make a difference in regards to gender is, for example, we favor women for scholarships. We're favoring women for technical apprenticeships to get more women in technical areas, so to say. But generally spoken, we try to support you, no matter whether you're male, female, or diverse people. It doesn't matter in the end. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex, for intervening. Apparently, we lost Soraya. Hope she comes back soon. And because I want to tackle now a bit we have, I think, 10 more minutes. And I'm very curious, although this is not a trend, but what do you think the future of diversity and inclusion looks like? Because it's so dependent on so many things, politics and many. I'll just give it like this, many other things. So, how do you foresee this? Let's say trends, which are not trends, but how do you foresee diversity and inclusion evolving over the next few years? And I would like Gassen to answer this question if possible.
Sure, thank you, Elena. I mean, I truly believe that not having diversity and inclusion, I mean, from an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, so I cannot really speak much about like big corporations and policies and everything. I can tell, as Soraya mentioned before, we are in the tech space, entrepreneur, you're a startup, so you're always running against the clock, you need to go fast, right? But I can tell you from that perspective, like not having diversity and inclusion in your ventures as an entrepreneur is like consistently deciding like to limit the growth and the potential, right? So it's very important, I think, to say. Although in reality we're still not there. I can give you a very tangible example. So at Incivio, I think we are over diverse. I can give you a proper example of that. So recently we wanted to launch our Google account, right, for ads. And so the company is based in Switzerland. We have my co-founder is in Portugal. We have our chief marketing officer sitting in Tunisia, and we are targeting US businesses. So we're using 3 currencies: Swiss francs, US dollars, and euros. And when we opened the account 2 days after, Google came back to us and said, "Hey, sorry, something is wrong with you, right? It's too many currencies, too many geographies, too many." You see what I mean? This is a real example that happened a couple of weeks ago, and I was like completely astonished. How is this possible, right? But again, okay, it's not a human being who decided that. So Sandro was mentioning like the bias and the algorithms in general, not necessarily in AI, but because unfortunately, so far, like diversity is a little bit was always correlated to because it goes around the corners, it can be seen in global systems. So again, just the example, over diversity currently is not really appreciated, although I truly believe that's the way to go. So I truly, really believe that diversity brings naturally competence, and it's vital for success. And look, we spoke a lot about it. It's like any movement that is not necessarily, as you said, because it's unconscious for us. So I urge everyone who truly believes in diversity to show the world. Because we can speak a lot about it, but let's have top 10 companies in the world that have, again, diverse leadership or diverse team, as some people in the comments mentioned. It's not only about men and women, it's about also other different minorities, right? So I think instead of, we can make our point by showing that diverse ecosystems and diverse businesses are actually overachievers and are in reality really succeeding way more than close-minded, let's say, single, let's say, dimensional thinking, right? So this is what I would push forward for, and but I'm very optimistic. I think whatever we think, nature will show that diversity is the key.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaston. This is very funny because when you, as an investor, when you invest in companies, you look at how diverse the board is. So basically, how people come from different backgrounds, not necessarily gender or something else, but how do they come from different backgrounds and they can support you on different topics. And then you see at big corporates when they have no diversity. So it's kind of funny when you look at it. And we will have only one more minute because at 9:45 we have another keynote. So whoever wants to jump on this question, because I know it's it's only very shortly to have 1 minute, but how do you see the role of technology and AI? I left it at the end, so we don't have time to debate on it. I'm joking. But how do you see the role of technology evolving in promoting diversity and inclusion? And maybe what are some innovative technologies that your organization is exploring? Maybe Sandro could take this question.
Yes, we're happy to
He's ready
jump in.
for this. Yeah.
Try to wrap it in 1 minute, but it's actually, what Gaston said is one of the things with the example with Google is, my question would be, what type of information is required? Do they even need to have all the information, and does this actually has an impact of being biased, right? And what the technology allows you today is actually to have these permissionless environments where actually anyone can initially participate. And let's take a very simple example for people to understand when we speak about a Bitcoin, right? Anyone who has access to the internet can purchase a Bitcoin. We can argue about if you like the ecosystem or not, but technically anyone can buy a Bitcoin and can transfer a financial value to someone else. So, and this is a huge achievement. We don't care on the other side who is buying it. If it's, that we don't care. We only care that we can make this peer-to-peer transaction, Elena, you and I, because we met, right? The rest I don't care, and I don't need to know. And you can now spin off total new social systems, financial system on top of this technology stack. When you look in the more advanced layer 1 protocols, and you speak about verifiable credential, digital identities, but already when you even try to access the internet, that's the other thing, right? How can you give someone access to the internet? So when you go to Tanzania, to a fisher village, they don't even have access to an internet. No large corporation goes there. There's no return of investment on it. So you need to have something which allows a shared economy, and this is where new technology helps. There is Google it, it's called World Mobile, because I don't have time to explain it. World Mobile, they are actually allowing this small village through a shared economy to actually have like a mesh system you have at home with air nodes to establish a network for the village. Anyone can actually access financial system or whatever you want to access through the internet, education, healthcare, and start to actually have an incentivization model to earn through their contribution a token which then they can exchange to another financial value. And with this, you can start to give people access into a system they don't have today. So this is one of the very crucial elements. And the other thing is this need to know principle. If I sell something, I need to know that the person has a certain age, or for tax reasons doesn't have isn't a US citizen, as an example. That's very big in financial services with tax reasons, right? So you have these type of things, but the rest I don't need to know, so it should not be shared. And this is actually important when we start to how can we engage people to actually contribute in these type of systems. And then we speak about voting systems. So how can I let anyone vote? And we did this example last year. Actually, we were speaking about a parameter change, so a core change in the protocol. And what we did is actually, we went out to the community, we said, okay, those are the options. Now, every so-called staple provider, please vote what you would like to see. And on-chain, anyone could actually just go in and see who actually votes for what. And each single ADA holder, who's a so-called delegator, could then relocate his voting right to the party he supports. And with this, you can include the whole community in the future development. And with this, also create this inclusiveness, because you don't exclude someone just because of their age or race or what we heard before. There are so many different ways when we speak about things when we speak about diversity. And technology truly, in my dream, is that we don't have to have this discussion anymore, because people have an access point which is unbiased.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all the panelists for sharing your valuable insights and, of course, experiences. I'm sorry we couldn't stay more. I have even more questions, but maybe we can continue for another round. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all of you bringing your input. And I know we could stay here for ages discussing about your experiences and bringing more best practices. Keep on going on the comments, and this is a movement. It's not ended today, so it's a continuous discussion. So thank you for all of you being here, and I would like to invite to come into the stage to Cristina.
Bye-bye.
And also, bye-bye, see you later to all of you. And thank you, Elena, for this brave discussion. And I would love to bring as well Katerina on the stage very briefly, just to introduce you as well. One of other NFoL executive board members driving and curating the program and the new phase of leadership, and introducing now Cristina, who is going to be our next speaker. But maybe, Katerina, you want to introduce yourself briefly and then introduce Cristina. Thank you.
Hello together, I'm Katerina Andreeva. I'm wearing also multiple hats. I'm Customer Success Manager, Data and Architect at IBM. So for last half year, I'm also part of NFoL. I'm coach and neurointegrational trainer and lecturer. I'm happy to introduce Dr. Cristina Alonso Alija. Alija is correct, or
Perfect.
yes?
Perfect.
Cristina, thank you that you are today with us. Cristina is head of sustainability, safety, health and environment at Bayer. I think you were with Bayer for 26 years, if I'm correct. She is also a senior advisor, sustainability and ESG, advancing human rights in supply chain, and she is a diversity, equity, and inclusion advocate. So I can do your introduction longer, but stage is yours. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here with all of you today. I would like actually to start with a reflection with you all. And coming, as Katerina said, from somebody I'm a woman in science. I started and developed my career always in other countries out of my own country, Spain. So I would like, from that perspective, to start actually with a reflection, is that while many of us have come and developed our passion in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, because we come from a minority, no? From a minority perspective, let's reflect that while many of us belong to a minority, like, for example, I would be a minority for women in technology, actually, most of us are a majority towards another group. For example, I would be a majority when I think, for example, about the challenges that Black women have or trans women have. So I think it's always important, as it has come up before, to change hats, to be able to take another perspective. And in that sense, there is a sentence from Michael Kimmel, Professor Michael Kimmel, that I love, which is that privilege is invisible to those who have it. And it's always easy. When we don't have the privilege, we feel it very quickly. But when we have the privilege, usually we don't realize that actually in that setting, we are privileged. So today, on this German Diversity Day, I would like to invite you to leave the victim behind and to become an ally to another group. And why am I saying that? Is because that's being an ally is one of the most effective ways to raise diversity, no matter where we look at. And because diversity unites us and makes us stronger in the business and as society, I think this is one of the very important steps for all of us. And let me share with you today a couple of examples that I have lived in my experience, where have shown that actually diversity is creating a huge value. I recognize that when we talk about examples, many of us have had negative or critical experiences in terms of diversity, and often these are the ones that we remember and we tend to share. But actually, how important it is to find these positive examples that have made a difference. And one of them, for example, has come up in one of the leadership teams I work with a couple of months ago, just recently, where actually in that case, some of our men colleagues, or actually one man colleague of that team, was raising loudly, well, since many of the taboos that women were facing with in terms of having also to take care of the family, to combine being at work, being at home, once this have been spoken up, it has enabled him also to speak up the same needs, because he's also a father and he also wants to see his children grow. And that was difficult to speak up in an environment that was only very men-dominated, and this was just not usual. Now that we speak these things up, it makes it more easy for him. Or, for example, talking about accommodations with people with certain disabilities. For example, when we can raise and put on the table that maybe we need language translators, no? We need to put in written the words. This is also going to help maybe people that are less fluent in English, but have just as much to offer. So opening the door for the minority groups to speak up their needs is also going to help majority groups be more efficient and effective in their work and in their lives. Another example I would like to share, and it has come in the presentation of Sandy Carter, is that diversity does bring a huge business value. And a couple of years ago, I was working in a project that was around finding new devices for providing contraceptives. And I mean, coming from a German company, you were thinking for a solution, a very novel device that would be very effective, but also a little bit complex. And at that time, I was working in Mexico, so with Latin American teams. And actually, it was our Brazilian younger women in the teams who were saying, well, that's not what we need. And already 10 years ago, they were saying, well, in the future, we are only going to be walking around with our iPhones or our cell phones in the hand. We are not going to have big handbags going around. So actually what we need is an application. We don't need complex devices. How right they were now, where our world is really run by many of the applications we use every day. So it was a different set of users who were raising up already in the team. Well, the needs might be different. Let's think about these ones as well. And a third example I would like to give you is about including and embracing diversity across geographies. And as I said, I worked sometime in Mexico. This was for me a great eye-opener for me in my life. And in that case, we were finding and looking for solutions so that we could speed up regulatory processes. And you know, Mexico City is a very big city, and it took us a lot of driving time to go from the offices to the agency where the health authorities were, where we had to submit in paper our applications. So we had, in that case, the creativity of the Mexican colleagues in the team with the accuracy of the German mindset that said, well, we don't want to lose the quality, but actually can we speed it up? And in this pragmatic approach, for example, we put a mobile office where basically we took our printers in our car, in our company car, so that we could park the car close to the authorities, and we could do the work from there, which really gave us a lot of speed, of course, not losing any of the cybersecurity needs and the compliance needs that we had. I don't think that a single group or geography would have come to such an idea that actually meant a lot of business revenue. We could speed up time. So these are some of the positive examples that I have lived with and that I have seen where diversity creates a huge value, and actually is quite a bit of fun as well. So today, on this Diversity Day, I invite you to think of positive examples that you have seen and share them. And I also invite you to have and get an ally hat and become an ally to another group and learn how to be an ally. And with that, also raise others and lift others up to where we all have to get. And with that, I thank you very much. And I hand over to Begoña also for the closing remarks today. Thank you for being here.
Wow. Thank you so much, Cristina. I'm just leaving with your call to action. Think on positive examples and become an ally from another group you want to support. This is such a powerful call to action. Thank you so much for your keynote, for your contribution to this German Diversity Day. And I would say we are now just facing the latest minute of this event. We have been very deep into the discussion with our panel. We want to encourage everyone with our knowledge, with our with our purpose, and also everyone has a goal to reach. Everyone has an ambition, a vision. Everyone feels how you, myself, your neighbor would like to grow and make an impact with the actions. And this is what we want you to encourage to do, being part of the movement and embracing the new phase of leadership in order to create together a new culture, a new way of thinking, a new way of leading, and enabling everyone to be themselves. And today, the German Diversity Day, we celebrate how diversity unites us. And I take this last minute to say thank you so much for everyone who contributed today, who stays here in the group. Thank you, Cristina. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Soraya. Thank you, Gassen, Elena, Katerina, Caroline, Sandy, and Alexander, and everyone participating here today, bringing your own experience. And thank you so much for everyone who joined us in this journey today very early, and even for everyone joining us later, because this is a link in life is going to be recorded and it's going to be available as well in our YouTube channel. So I know from the experience that we are going to reach a lot of people. Be a leader, be a game changer, follow your vision for your dreams, and be part of the movement. And then we welcome you in the next stream here on the stage together with us. Thank you for everyone being here. Thank you for you all here. And
thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. And I'm leaving you
German Diversity Day.
Thank you, Begonia. Bye-bye.
Happy Diversity Day in Germany, in Europe, and in the world. Keep in touch.
For me, leadership means to be your authentic self, to sometimes take a risk, because we all make mistakes, and only if you be your true self, you can be a good leader. That's what I think.
To me, leadership is all about motivation and setting a path to reach goals together.
For me, leadership isn't something what comes with a certain position or certain hierarchy level. For me, it's an attitude, how you see your role in life.
Leadership for me is about inclusion. It's about putting yourself in other people's shoes. It's about understanding the other. It's about communication. Leadership for me is about humanity.
Leadership today is about inspiring people. It's about bringing people together. It's about collaboration. It's about inclusivity.
For me, leadership means lifting other people, helping other people, supporting other people, and empowering them to bring out the best talents they bring with them.
And for me, leadership is less about rank and seniority and more about being the leader that you feel you need and that people around you may need, so that you make sure that you take everyone on your team on the same journey.